Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Dearest Mother, Love, Ruth, John, and Mark. Ruth Smallshaw Ray's Letters to Her Mother, 1953, Part 80. 602 Huntmere Drive, Bay Village, Ohio, June 14th, 1953. Dear folks, got your good letter when I got home yesterday and glad to hear from you. John took me downtown at 10 o'clock a.m. and looked after Mark all day while I shopped, and they picked me up at 6 o'clock p.m. It was good to have time to shop. Of course, poor John will have to exchange most of it tomorrow, but eventually we make some progress. Mark was very good for John. He's always good anyway. And John bought him a car seat, high chair pad, and a blue stroller. He looked so cute sitting up beside John in his car seat. They drove me to church at 10:30 as I had to make coffee for the coffee hour at church, and John was giving him his lunch when I got home at 12:30. Nice to have John so good with Mark. The church was full, but most hurried away after, and only about 30 stayed for coffee. We won't have another now till fall. John got some lemon lilies from Bruce Thursday night that he planted along the back fence, and some gladiola bulbs that he'll put in the flower beds. One of his clients gave him a big basket of bulbs, and she also gave him 6 chrysanthemum plants that he put out front. I planted some marigolds and petunias, but they don't seem to be doing much. The grass he put out near the back fence is coming along well, also corn and tomatoes. Today I stuffed chicken breast for dinner and also cut a fresh pineapple in half and cut the inside out and mixed it with strawberries and put it back in. Good. We also had strawberry shortcake. Mark is just full of pep. He's getting quite a little tan and real pink cheeks. He blows and bubbles and laughs and stands and kicks like he's got energy to burn. We think we will go up to Michigan. It would be nice to meet you and Daddy and Bud and Doris and get a cottage and spend a week with you so you could see Mark, but guess you have your plans made. So glad you're teaching Bud and Doris bridge. You'll have lots of nice evenings with them then. I saw some cute placemats and lunch cloths downtown with initialed napkins, beige with brown, pink, and gray. I almost got a beige and brown set with S for Bud and Doris, but then did not know if they'd like placemats or lunch cloth better, nor what color their china was, so what colors would be best. So decided not to risk it, but they were pretty. Does she have coffee spoons yet? What kind of dining suite did they get? What is jackknife? Do they have blonde or dark furniture? Do they like traditional or modern? Also, what color is their china? It will be so much more fun for you when they start their family. Daddy will really be proud of his grandson Smallshaw. Doris's sister's wedding sounds like it will be nice, or was. Did her mother approve more of him than she did of Bud? How does Doris feel after having such a quiet wedding herself, or does she mind? What kind of house do they have, and where? Have you met Doris's mother? Is it not the groom's mother's place to invite the brides over first, or is it the reverse? Mark can say bub 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 just about all day long, but can't make him say or dad. Maybe soon? Let us know more of your holiday plans. I guess you're set to go west by now, but it would be nice for Dad to see Mark and meet at the Sioux. Very hot here and had Mark out in his stroller. All the kiddies fight to push him in it. He loves it. Got some more sunburn. Good night. Love, John, Ruth, and Mark. Glen Lake, Empire, Michigan, July 5th, 1953. Dearest Mother and Dad, and hi to Bud and Doris. I'll be so anxious to get home to get a letter from you and to hear all about your trip. your visits with everyone, and especially how you got along driving through the mountains. We had Daddy's card after yours from Yellowstone, and it sounded as if you got off to a wonderful start. I really am happy for you that you're taking such a beautiful trip together. Much as I'd love to have seen you and had you meet Mark, still it is nice to be able to take these trips too, and that is a lovely part of the world to see by car especially. Now that you've visited Jellies and the Plasters, do you have any desire to move out there? Not as long as you have Bud in Regina, I expect, and the Estevans folks so near. This has been a very strange vacation for me, almost as if it were not Ruth, but someone else. Possibly it's because of having Mark and the responsibility of looking after him, which really cancels any real relaxation, but mostly I guess because it's not the type of vacation I would choose myself. However, I guess once you marry, your life is not entirely your own, if ever it was. About an hour before we left, Mark started in with diarrhea, so I called the doctor for treatment, and we started in with it and have done so all week. We gave him paregoric at first and Rezoin and boiled skim milk, no solids for several days, and he lost a few pounds, I think. Boiling skim milk and traveling and Mark being very hungry made it rather trying. Mark really was very good, considering it all, but to top it off, he got 2 top teeth. He's trying to crawl and walk too and gets frustrated when he can't, but I think he's making progress. He says "Mama" all the time. He certainly seems to be growing up in a hurry. 4 teeth and saying "Mama" and still only 7 months old. Almost 8, though. We went to Marion, Ohio, first last Saturday and had a very nice weekend at Grandma and Grandpa Zook's. At age 84, Grandma Zook cooked some wonderful meals for about 7 of us. In 2 weeks, she'd had all 8 of her great-grandchildren with her. Mark is the 8th. Monday, we drove up here to Glen Lake, a 10-hour trip. Had a flat tire just as we left Marion. John's mother, Ted, and Evelyn were here. John's Aunt Helen's cabin, but Mrs. Ray, Ted, and Evelyn left this morning, so just John, Helen, and I here now, but her son Fred and wife Vonnie come over in the evenings. We've been swimming and hiking, and John and I took Mark out fishing this afternoon. I think we should get him a little life preserver so we wouldn't worry. John is capable of saving him as he has a life-saving certificate. Still, a preserver would be a good idea till he learns to swim. For me, though, a vacation would be nice with just John and Mark in a little cabin not so far from home, or one seeing my friends and family. Still, I guess that's being selfish, for John's family want to see him and Mark. It's pretty impossible for me to get home. It's too long a trip for Mark by car or train, and plane is out of our range financially. Next summer I hope to have another wee baby, so the same problem will exist. Hope you had a fine time and anxious to hear how you got along. Lots of love, Ruth. P.S. We'll send you some photos on our return. Much, much love. Been very lonesome. 602 Huntmere Drive, Bay Village, Ohio, July 19th, 1953. Dear folks, we got your very interesting letters this week, and glad to hear all about your trip. What a strenuous vacation. Now to recover? Very nice that you could see all the folks, though, and well worth it in recollection. You probably won't consider moving out there as long as Bud and Doris are in Regina. It certainly would be a milder climate, I imagine. We hope soon to get a record player and hear the record, but no opportunities so far. I had a much better time at Glen Lake after most of the crowd left and Mark's diarrhea cleared up, and John enjoyed it all. We left there about 10:30 a.m. Saturday and made the 400 miles to Sandusky by 7:30 p.m., stayed until 11, and were home by midnight. The best part for me of the vacation was getting home to my automatic washer and Mark's bassinet. He really is progressing famously. I found him standing in his crib or even sitting in the morning. He gets up all by himself. He also gets up on all fours like a bear walk. He's on chopped foods now. Sure, a lot of fun. Helen took a couple of rolls of color slides of him, so we should get some good ones. The Rays are getting a projector and scrapbook for Mark's pictures alone and future grandchildren. Carol will be getting married in March. We've surely been busy since we got back. John has really done a wonderful job around the house. He brought back 20 little evergreen, pine, spruce, hemlock, and fern and put quite a few in front and back and the rest by the garage. They look so cute. Do hope they grow. He dug all around the flowers around the house today, and do they ever look better? My contribution seems to be limited to pulling a few weeds and moving the sprinkler. Boy, that sprinkler is a time-saving device instead of holding the hose. We've had a busy week, too, because we had a party last night since Jer and Bruce Partridge are moving to Rochester, New York. I washed the kitchen walls and woodwork and windows and house cleaned the living room. In other words, the rest of my spring cleaning, a little in advance of fall. John painted the kitchen a pretty pale green, Maywood green, and we got yellow curtains and lamp and tabletop attached to the wall. It folds down on hinges when we don't need it. We plan to get stools and yellow high chair for Mark, so the kitchen does look so pretty, I think. We painted the cupboards too. I rearranged the living room with the sectional in the front corner by the picture window, and more happy about it too. So I'm much happier about the house now. We had a very nice party, and I served all kinds of cheeses and various little crackers on that buffet server John won, and had a lush dessert. Ice cream balls that I covered with either chocolate or butterscotch topping, then put toasted coconut and chopped pecans. A sweetie, but John likes it. Tell Bud the Ready Whip is just 47 cents a can, 51 cents when you were here. The bank book we found when John cleaned out the back of the car. Yours or Connie's? We have the we have the photos of Mark and we'll mail soon. We got a 3 pose in one in frame for ourselves. Like it and love the boy. He stood alone for a few seconds today and tries to feed himself but ends up waving the spoon. Hope Bud and Doris have a good holiday. I teach Sunday school the next 2 weeks. Bowl Monday nights, and 8 couples of us on our block are going dancing next Saturday. Wonderful to hear all about your trip. Sorry you were ill though, Mom. Love, John, Ruth, and Mark. 602 Huntmere Drive, Bay Village, Ohio, July 30th, 1953. Dear folks, at last I've wrapped the pictures for mailing, so you should be getting them soon. We got a 3-pose one for ourselves and are sending you the 2 you liked, although now we've decided that we like the sober one best. It was by sheer last-minute thought that we even had one printed. Mrs. Ray and Carol were over Tuesday afternoon, and it's the one they chose. However, we're sending smiling ones to the 2 great-grandmas. I think the overalls are so cute on Mark. They barely fit, so won't be good for too long, but maybe until fall. He does look so nice in blue. John got him 2 pair of summer pajamas, size 4, thinking they'd do for next summer too, and they just fit perfectly now. The size must be for midgets. Thank you so much for the overalls. Mark's a lucky little boy. Oh, I finally got to hear the record. It sounded more natural of you, Mother, not at all like Daddy. Very stilted, like he was reading. Neither side really sounded like you, but still nice to have, to keep. Dad is all wound up in the highway numbers, both in letters and the record, which mean little to us. A fellow up at Glen Lake showed colored slides and kept saying, "This is M36," or whatever, "looking north," and so on. It means little to the listener, I think. We enjoyed them and also enjoyed getting the record, too. I did get around to sending Bud and Doris an announcement, Also Grandma and Grandpa, Elsie, Chris, Marion, and Bonnie. Were there any others you'd like us to send to? We have a few left. John sent them mostly to Clevelanders. Saturday we went dancing with several couples on the street. Sunday I taught preschool at church and Monday bowled. Tuesday we visited Bruce and Jer. They leave for Rochester today. A better job for Bruce. Last night John went to a Junior Chamber of Commerce committee meeting, and tonight I go to the dentist. Oh, and Mrs. Ray and Carol were over Tuesday afternoon. Miss Bender comes over Sunday. John has had so many nice letters of congratulations. It really is a good step for him so soon. They're up around $3,000 this month, so the best yet. Last month he made $650, so he's coming along fine. We're trying to double the house payments and have done so every month but the first couple. A lot to whittle down, though. Cleveland housing is highest in the nation, I just learned. We've had quite a time with Mark, but he seems better now. He had a cold and got the most terrible heat rash. He looked like he had the measles. Face, arms, neck, chest, even in his hair, a fiery red and all pimples. He looked ghastly, but looks better now. He was quite fussy and awakened in the night quite often, which he hasn't done since he was 7 to 8 weeks old. Also, the fourth tooth seemed to take longer getting all the way through. He stood alone about 10 seconds today. We've had hot, close weather, too. Thanks for the bulletins on the coronation. I still can't take all that chosen people idea, but we'll see. We saw Arthur J. Rank's A Queen is Crowned color movie. Did you see it? I believe it was far superior to anything on television. Connie never mentioned her actual seeing the coronation procession, though, did she? Probably anticipation was as great as realization. Sorry I've been slow writing, but lots to do. Making some pickles from your recipe. Right soon. We saw some darling color slides Helen took of Mark. Wish you could see them. Love, John, Ruth, and Mark. P.S. Thanks again for Mark's overalls. 602 Huntmere Drive, Bay Village, Ohio, August 10th, 1953. Dear Mother and Dad, Mark was 9 months old yesterday. How the months roll by. Was certainly glad to get your letter this morning. We've not had any interesting mail for a couple of weeks. Mary and Joan were away on vacation last week, and Jer has moved. Dale has had another miscarriage, so last week was very blue and dull, and looked for a letter from you. Guess that your election is today and that the Liberals will be in again. Have you been working in this election? We went down to Akron, Ohio Saturday and went sailing with Ann and Wayne in their boat. Had a nice time. Yesterday after church we had Mickey and Kent over for a picnic in the backyard. Also a nice time. John is going to Columbus tomorrow on one of his property cases about the Ohio Canal. He may stop in to Marion and return the high chair since we got a new yellow plastic one for Mark. John got my yellow table, bar up in the kitchen and 2 yellow stools like Mark's high chair, so we're pretty well satisfied with the limited space and high chair in the kitchen too. We think we're going to Sandusky Saturday and Marion Sunday to see John's uncle from California. Mark still has some heat rash and all he wears is a diaper. He's hot-blooded like John, for John has a heat rash around his collar too. Mark crawls on his stomach and it's such hard work, but he gets there. He can let himself down now from a standing position without falling now, and when he pulls himself up, he says, "Up!" so proudly. Right now we're out back after weeding somewhat, and he's swinging in his swing so happily. Dale called today that she's feeling better, and Mary called to say that they had a wonderful vacation in Chicago with her folks. Hope Bud and Doris had a good time. Guess Connie won't come via Cleveland if she drives with her dad. Is it to be her own car? Right soon. Bye for now. Lots of love. John, Ruth, and Mark. To be continued. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Good luck to you with your efforts in family history if this interests you, finding, preserving, and sharing old letters, diaries, photographs, family movies, and videos, and interviewing elderly relatives while they're alive. You might consider checking out our website, Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray at peterjray.com. There is a donate feature. You might consider making a donation. So far we've made 611 history videos in 7 areas: world history, American history, book reviews, poetic tours, Cleveland baseball, family history, and autobiography. You also might consider checking out our podcast, Adventures in History. If you live in Metro Manila, Philippines, you might and are looking for a high school, you might consider Ressalist Educational Center in San Juan, Metro Manila. We specialize in helping young people who've had difficulty in the larger traditional schools, and the website is ressalist.education. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.